Good morning, everyone, and thank you for making the time to join us for our Product 1, What's New in Creo 9.0 Assembly Deep Dive. My name is Monabisi Nkosi, and I will be hosting you for today. We intend to stick to the time today, so I will be as short as possible, allowing for our technical presenter to demonstrate to you the advancements in assemblies in our latest version of Creo 9. This is our agenda for today. We'll have an introduction, which I will host, and then we'll have a technical demonstration, and then we will also open up for questions and answers. A couple of housekeeping tasks just before we begin. Everyone will receive a copy of the recording of the webinar after the webinar. Secondly, you can drop your questions and answers in the question section and the Q&A section, and they will be answered at the end of the presentation. Lastly, please stick around for and participate in the poll at the end of this demonstration and the video that we will have. And if you have any technical difficulties, please let me know in the chat session so that we can try and address it for you. So, Creo 9. There are 4 basic questions or statements that I would like to answer for you before handing over to the rest of the team. For those who are new in P2C Creo Parametric, firstly, I would like to explain what is Creo. So Creo is a comprehensive suite of integral CAD, CAM, and CAE solutions supporting the needs of engineers and downstream users throughout the product development lifecycle. Creo as a 3D CAD solution helps you accelerate innovation and so you can build better products faster. Why Creo? Creo's easy-to-use platform seamlessly takes you from the early stages of design to manufacturing and then go beyond that. With Creo, you can combine powerful proven functionality with new technologies such as generative design, augmented reality, real-time simulation, additive manufacturing, and the Internet of Things. The possibilities are endless. And then thirdly, why Creo for assemblies? Today we will focus on some assembly enhancements that will make general use for Creo, and I believe that this will allow you to understand why Creo is best suited for assemblies. And then lastly, I'd like to, for all our users, is why an upgrade is so key for everyone to actually do on Creo. The latest version of Creo Parametric always brings with the new capabilities, like you saw in the intro video. All of those features are always great, but not all users need to get all the features. But what is important the most is that general usability and enhancements that make Creo quicker and easier to use. These are the types of enhancements that often go less noticed, but saving you time in the features of every Creo user, and the world uses multiple day-to-day things. Peter will take us through some of these enhancements, and we'll go into detail with them. Our presenter for today, our technical presenter for today is Peter Cookson. He's a T3 mechanical engineer, graduated at Wits. He has extensive experience in drafting and design. He's also a principal applications engineer at Product 1, primarily focusing in CAD and simulation and related products. Over to you, Peter.
Good morning to you all. So what we're going to do today is we're going to replace a component with an assembly. We're going to replace a component with a copy. We're going to retrieve a missing component. We're going to use sketch enhancements, and we're going to have a look at overlapping intersections and junctions. And we're going to rotate the model. We're using the shift and the arrow keys. And we're going to look at edge enhancements in Sketcher. And then we're going to do some fasteners in the IFX and look at some incremental control options. So let's go over to Creo. All right, so this is the model that we're going to use. What have we got here? We've got a base. And the base has got some holes in it. And we've put an M12 by 50 bolt, which is colored red. We'll get back to the coloring now. And it's colored red in this assembly. We have a pattern of bolts around that. And one of them is green. And we also have a nut on the bottom of that M12 by 50 bolt there. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to dig on this, and we're going to go to right click and replace. And you'll see here there's two new buttons in this, the existing copy and assembly containing the model. This is new to Creo 9. So we're going to assemble containing the model. And we're going to go and get the base assembly, or the bolt assembly rather. The bolt assembly is just a bolt in an assembly. So I'm sure you've often had a situation where you've built an assembly up and you find, oh, we've got one component in the assembly, and now you have to go and put that component into another assembly and put that assembly back into the original assembly, which is painful and difficult. So this is an easy way around that. So we put it in there, and as you see here, the bolt has an assembly there now. We're going to do it to the pattern. Replace with an assembly containing the model, and we go for the bolt assembly again. Okay, and what you see here now is in the assembly, you see all the bolts as assemblies now. So there they all are, and they're bolts as assemblies. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it this time with another assembly. And we're going to go and use the bolt nut assembly this time. Bolt nut assembly, so that's got a nut on the bottom of the bolt. And we put it in. Now, interestingly enough, the original, as you saw here, had an M10 or M12 nut on it. But this bolt assembly now that we've put in here, the third one in there, is the original assembly. So it's interesting to see how Creo's handled that. Also, what has happened here is the bolts came in as gray in color, and they are now red. So they've taken on the color that is in the assembly that has been assigned to them in the assembly. So this is a green bolt, and this is a red bolt. We'll speak more about that later. Okay, so let's kill that one off. Erase not display, and I'm going to open the assembly again, and we're going to go back to our presentation, and we are going to go so a component can be replaced with an existing copy. It can be replaced with the same or a newer name. It can be a part or an assembly. This is more flexible during component replacement, and all internal and external child references are also automatically handled and updated. And let's go and have a look at this now. So again, we've got our model here. So we will go and right click and we will replace the red bolt. But this time we're going to use an existing copy. And the existing copy will be an M12 by 50 bolt with a hole in it. M by 50 bolt with a hole in it. So this bolt now has a hole in it, and the inside is colored red. And I'll show you the significance of that now. So what we've got is now the bolt with its internal hole that was red is still red, but the whole bolt is now being changed color to the assembly instructions as with the red color. So if we go and replace this part now, and we use an existing copy, use the bolt with the hole again. And as you can see, all the bolts now, the gray ones are brought in as gray, and the red, they still contain they still have the original red color on in the hole. The green one has changed and it's updated as per the assembly instructions. Okay, so that shows how parts can be replaced. We'll replace this one now with a cap screw, for instance. Existing copy. And we'll look for cap screw. And we'll say, okay. And there we have a cap screw in. All very neat and nice. Okay, so that's showing you replacing a component with a copy of itself or a different copy. Let's kill that off. Erase not displayed, and we will go back to our presentation. So this time we're going to retrieve a missing component. Now this was always a real pain, because if you didn't find the exact name, then Creo wouldn't bring it in. So a missing component retrieval allows for renamed components to be used, where before you couldn't rename them, they had to be exactly the same name. If the selecting component is the renamed original, all children or all child references and relations are updated automatically, which is very nice. This makes for easy and quick update retrieval without the need for manually fixing additional renaming. Okay, let's go and have a look at what this means. So we'll open up our assembly again, and we'll show you what else is in the assembly here. So we have a base square component, and if you look here, you'll see that the base bolt assembly, in the base bolt assembly is a base and it's missing. If we go and we right click here, retrieve missing component, and we find a base square XXX. So it's got a different name, and you can bring that in and it'll give you a warning. And the warning says the selected model has a different name. Creo cannot determine if this is indeed the original missing model and will treat it as if it was renamed within Creo. Continuing with the wrong model can lead to failures, regeneration issues, etc. So Creo, well, PTC is warning you that if you put the wrong model in here, there are consequences to that. So there is the model, and let's just have a look. If we go into this here and we say, okay, so that basically sorts out retrieving a missing component. Okay, so let's go and see what's next on the agenda. Erase not copied, and we will go into our presentation again. All right, what we're going to do now is look at overlapping geometry and something in the sketcher. So we'll start a new part. We'll leave the part 01 as fine. Switch on our datum planes, and we'll start sketching. But just bear with me now while we do a quick sketch here. If you look at this now, you see it's shaded. All right, and this has some significance later on. We put a circle in there. We'll put another circle in there now. And we'll do that. And we'll put a line on top of that line. And we'll put another line on top of this line. Now, this was always a problem in Creo before. If we do inspection here, we do the highlights. You see these are highlighted now. And if we switch on the highlighted intersections, you'll see the intersections here can be highlighted, and highlight overlaps. Now, there are the highlighted overlaps. In Creo before, you could never see these overlaps, and they were absolute pain in the rear. So you couldn't detect where they were, and now you are able to. The other thing is, if I now go and I change this to 10 millimeters, say, and if you look closely, you'll see that this circle is 68 millimeters, and this is 194. So normally, if you did this in Creo 8 or 7 or the versions before, this would fail. So at the moment, look what it did. It rescaled the whole model, which is really nice thing. So this used to fail before, and it doesn't fail now. So that's a very nice enhancement that they've introduced. So you're now able to take able to use this for a sketch or whatever you'd like to use it for. All right, so that concludes that. Let's just clean that up. Okay, now we're going to go and have a look at rotating a model by using the shift keys, which is a new thing, edge enhancements, and we're going to do a little bit in live simulation. Let's go and do that. We'll open up the model here. Okay, so what do we have in this model now? We have a square block with a PTC product one logo with some holes in the side, and we'll see that's why they're there just now. And what we're going to do is in part mode now, you can go and grab an edge here. And if you go to the bottom edge here, you can grab that edge. If you grab that edge and this edge, you can just follow around. And so you're able to grab edges in the model, but you could never do that in Sketcher mode. So we're going to go and show you now in Sketcher mode what we can do in Sketcher mode. So let's just go into the Sketcher mode here now. And if you want to now offset, you'll see there's a new bar that comes out here, and we can do that one as normal. And if you wanted to go and continue doing this, you go shift and do that one. Okay. If you wanted to get the top and the bottom one, you just go simply do the top, and you can climb out of that now and then add to it by doing the bottom one. Okay. If you wanted to do them, if you wanted to get these two, sorry, let's just get that. The outer one, and you can link them. If you, let's just clear that. Yeah, let's do that again. Sorry about that. Okay, so if you want to grab this one, you can go around and grab them, and you can do the whole loop. Okay, so a chain, or you can do them one by one. So this is a new enhancement that has been brought up, and you can add to them now at any point in time by doing that. So that's quite a nice enhancement that has been brought on board. Okay, now it's all failing. All right. Let's just get rid of that one, then we should be fine. Okay. There we go. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to show you some rotations. If you go and hold down the Shift key and use the arrow key, you're able to rotate the model in certain angles. This is also very handy if you want to precisely change the model or change the orientation of the model. Okay, but what we can go and do now is if we go into File, Options, File, Options, Options, and we go to the model display. You see here we've got default rotational angles, and we can set that to whatever we want to. So we'll choose 60 for this one, say OK to that, and we won't write it into our config file. If we go into the front, and we now go Shift arrow down or left or right, now it rotates by the 60 degrees that we chose there. So that's a very nice function to have. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to show the split. So if we want to, well, first of all, we'll switch on our datum planes. I have a datum plane 1 here set some distance away from the model, as you can see there. So if we want to now break this surface, now you were able to break surfaces only in simulation before, or put in a surface where you wanted to put a load or something like that. Now you're able to do it outside of simulation. And we will sketch onto this plane here, and we will put a rectangle down here, and we will say OK. And what it's done now is it's broken that surface up, and we'll put some color into that so you can see it. Let's go and choose a white color, color that white, say OK. So now we have a region that has special properties. Okay, and we'll show you what this all means in live simulation. So we're going to live simulation, and we will see that we've constrained the model in this area, but not in the white patch. Okay, and we've put a load in that area there. I'll show you what the load is. We've got 100 Newton-meter load, which is around about 100 kilograms hanging off the back of that, and it's restrained in this area here. Now, if we go and do the analysis, which would take about 30 seconds, just bear with us. Here we go. A little bit quicker than 30 seconds. We will set megapascals, and we will. This is for Melissa's stress and shown in megapascals, and we ask for the highlighted highest stress area. We've got 19.7 megapascals in that area there, and because we've constrained in this area and this area, we have some high stressed areas in this part of the model here. If we go and do a deformation, and we can of course animate that to show you that. So there's a quick look at basically a couple of mouse strokes to do a full stress analysis on what you've got there now. Okay, so that's that one sorted out. By the way, if you have any questions, please slot them into the question and answer, and then we'll answer them at the end of the presentation. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to look at some fasteners, and you're able to change the incremental size of depth and diameter in the spin buttons in the screw and dowel dialog boxes, which you couldn't do before, which I'll show you now. You can do different incremental sizes for depths and diameters, and let's go and have a look at that now. We'll set our directory to IFXs, and we'll open the model. And what have we got here? We'll switch on our points. So we've got two plates together, and we want to put bolts into them, and nuts. So let's go to Tools, we'll go to screws, and we will put it onto that point there. And we want to go there, and we want to thread into this section here. So we're going through the top clearance hole, drilling tap into the bottom section. So okay to that, and we will go and select ourselves an ISO fastener M8, and we have a graphics window here showing us what's going on, and we can do a simple counterbore or leave the counterbore out. But more to the point here is you have a free fit of 10 millimeters, a medium fit of 9 millimeters, and a close fit of 8.4. Now let's say, for instance, that you didn't want to use these sizes. Let's say you wanted to put in the size of 9.5 as a clearance. You couldn't do this before. They wouldn't allow you to. So now you can actually go and put 9.5 in there. And it was a little warning. I don't know if you can see that. It was a little warning thing to say that you've changed the default templates, which is what you want to do here. And the thread depth now, it's sitting at 17.35. So we can make that 16 millimeters, for instance, and change it. And the drill depth at 20 millimeters is fine. We'll leave it at that. So you are able to change these radio buttons to do what you want to do. It's customizable, and there's your fastener. We'll just go through that again quickly. So we want to put it on the center line this time. And we want to go from the top to thread it in that surface there. That's okay. And we'll put in a different fastener this time. We'll go for a bolt. Okay. And we don't want it counterbored. And we will set the measurement. Automatically does the measurement for you. And we will say, you can of course change this if you so want to, so desire. So we'll make that 14 millimeters, and we'll make this one 20 millimeters. So rounding of the numbers is now easy to do. Okay, so that sorts that one out. Okay, let's go back to our presentation. So what did we do here? Let's just summarize the benefits and features as we've shown them. Replacing a component with an assembly, and this can speed up modeling time by not having to reference any pairs. And the system automatically figures out the reference pairs based on the existing components that was in the assembly and automatically transfers all of the references. Then we did replace a component with a copy. This enhancement is useful when you want to replace a component in an assembly. Previously, it was not possible to easily replace a component with an existing copy and have all the external child references automatically updated. With this enhancement, no more manual work is needed to replace a component with an existing copy or a newer version of the same part. Then we did retrieve a missing component. This enhancement is useful when you are working with an assembly that has one or more missing components. Previously, it was not possible to select any model with a name that was different to the original one. A renamed model, even though identical, could not be selected. With this enhancement, manual renaming operations are no longer required to select a renamed or a copied model of the original missing components. All child references and relations are automatically updated. Then we did sketch enhancements, overlapping intersections and junctions, and this highlighted overlapping geometry diagnostic can remain active while you are sketching and give you feedback all the time. This was a problem before, as the overlapping geometry could not be seen. Highlighted junctions is where a point of 3 or more geometric or geometry endpoints meet, a point on an entity, and excluding endpoints that coincides with one or more geometric endpoint, and a tangent point, so that's all highlighted. All the inspection tools, display filters are accessible from the in-graphics toolbar. Then we did rotation of a model using the shift key. So a model can be rotated by using the shift key, the up, down, left or right buttons, and you can go into File, Options, Model Display, and you can set the rotational amount to 15, 30, 45, 60 or 90 degrees. Then we did edge enhancements in Sketcher. The same selection that was used outside Sketcher can now be used inside Sketcher. And then we did Fastener IFX Incremental Control options. You can now set the incremental size for the depth and diameter spin buttons in the screw and dowel dialog boxes. Different increment sizes can be set for the depth and diameter, and also for the millimeter and inch units. Using interface locations, click Intelligent Tool Fasteners options. This is a benefit of what's the benefit of this enhancement? This enhancement allows you to adjust the incremental size based on your requirements. Previously, you could increase or decrease the spin control values only at the default incremental sizes. The new option enables you to customize the increase sizes for spin buttons in the screw and dowel dialog boxes. So that concludes my presentation, and thank you very much for spending time with us.